An issue that was brought to our attention, the position Imam Abu Hanifa took on Iman increasing and decreasing. This is obviously not a fiqh issue, but since it relates to Imam Abu Hanifa, we decided to address it. People rightfully have a contention. They say, why is Imam Abu Hanifa saying such a thing? Because isn't it clear in the Holy Quran that Iman can increase and decrease? For example, we have in Surah Al-Fath, verse number 4, هُوَ الَّذِي أَنزَلَ السَّكِينَةَ فِي قُلُوبِ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ. He is the one that caused to descend upon the hearts of the believers tranquility. لِيَزْدَادُوا إِيمَانًا مَعَ إِيمَانِهِمْ. So they may increase in Iman alongside their Iman. Isn't that verse quite clear that Iman does increase? And also we have Surah Anfal, verse number 2, إِنَّمَا الْمُؤْمِنُونَ الَّذِينَ إِذَا ذُكِرَ اللَّهُ وَجِلَتْ قُلُوبُهُمْ. Indeed, the believers are those when Allah is mentioned, their hearts move. وَإِذَا تُلِيَتْ عَلَيْهِمْ آيَاتُهُ زَادَتْهُمْ إِيمَانًا. And when His signs are recited upon them, it increases them in Iman. وَعَلَى رَبِّهِمْ يَتَوَكَّلُونَ. And they trust in their Lord. So again, increases them in Iman. What is Imam Abu Hanifa doing? Why is he going against explicit verses of the Holy Quran? Well, the short answer is, he's not. Imam Abu Hanifa's point was that faith does not increase or decrease from the perspective of, if you like, articles of faith. Al-mu'man bihi. Okay, the things that you are believing in and the fact that you absolutely do have faith in them. So this is how the commentators explain this. I will go into detail inshallah, but just an overview to begin with. That's the point here. They said, well, what Imam Abu Hanifa was getting at is, of course, you can only be a believer if you believe in everything. You can't say I believe in Allah Most High and His books and His angels, but not His prophets, and still be a believer. You can't have certain people with in a situation where they're rejecting articles of faith and others are accepting all of them and they're all considered believers. From that perspective, or from the perspective that a person says, I definitely believe in Allah Most High, and another person says, I'm fairly sure that Allah Most High exists. Now, so if you like, the fundamental belief everybody has to have, and the articles of faith, everybody has to believe in them. However, with regards to the quality of faith, or yaqeen if you like, the levels of certitude, undoubtedly those do increase and decrease. So the response given on behalf of Imam Abu Hanifa is these verses are absolutely speaking about faith increasing and increasing, and of course if they're increasing, there were a decreased point prior to that. So of course we agree with that, of course we accept that, there's no doubt about that. Faith does increase and decrease from the perspective of quality or levels of certitude, undoubtedly. But when Abu Hanifa is saying it doesn't increase, doesn't decrease, that's from the perspective of having the fundamental belief in place and also accepting all articles of faith. So where is this from? Imam Abu Hanifa has a work called Al-Fiqh Al-Akbar. This is a work in Aqidah, not in fiqh itself, not in law, but in faith and theology, if you like, in which he said, وَالْإِيمَانُ هُوَ الْإِقْرَارُ وَالتَّصْدِيقُ وَإِيمَانُ أَهْلِ السَّمَاءِ وَالْأَرْضِ لَا يَزِيدُ وَلَا يَنْقُصُ, which translates as, Iman, faith, is acceptance and declaration. The faith of the people of heaven and earth does not increase or decrease. So he's clearly said it. I've explained what he means by it, but this is just to show that yes, this is attributable to Imam Abu Hanifa himself. Imam Ali al-Qari has a well-known commentary on Al-Fiqh Al-Akbar, in which he mentioned Imam Abu Hanifa's statement and said this meaning from the perspective of what is believed in. And then he goes into a little bit more detail. So again, there is this clear understanding that Imam Abu Hanifa was not rejecting the fact that Iman increases and decreases in terms of certitude and quality, but he's speaking about everybody has to have actual faith in our articles of faith and cannot reject any of them. In another commentary of Al-Fiqh Al-Akbar by Al-Maghnisawi, again, he says something very similar when it comes to this issue. He speaks about min jihatil mu'man bihi. Now, That when Imam Abu Hanifa says, وَإِيمَانُ أَهْلِ السَّمَاءِ وَالْأَرْضِ لَا يَزِيدُ وَلَا يَنْقُصُ, that the faith of the people of the heavens and the earth does not increase and does not decrease. He said, مِنْ جِهَةِ الْمُؤْمَنِ بِهِ, from the perspective of what is being believed in. So this is very, very clear that Imam Abu Hanifa is speaking about something separate, speaking about articles of faith. A similar statement is also mentioned in another book of Imam Abu Hanifa, his Wasiyah. Once again, he says something very similar about faith not increasing and decreasing. And once again, in a famous commentary, this time the commentary of Imam al-Babarti, he explains that this is not referring to the quality of faith. Of course, the quality of faith does increase and does decrease. So if I quote a little bit of exactly what Imam Babarti said, he said, what is meant is increase in terms of the fruits of faith and the shining of its light and radiance in the heart due to good deeds, since faith has light and radiance. So again, there is this clear understanding that what Imam Abu Hanifa is speaking of is not the fact that Iman can't increase and decrease. Rather, it absolutely can increase and decrease, and he acknowledges and he accepts that the fruits of faith and the light of faith does increase and it does decrease. Rather, the fundamental faith cannot increase and cannot decrease, meaning everybody has to believe without doubt in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, His books, His angels, His prophets, the Day of Judgment, divine decree, and the articles of faith and everything which is established in Quran and Hadith, and cannot reject any of that. Everybody must have faith in those things. Nobody can reject any of those, and nobody can have doubts. Nobody can say, I'm fairly sure Allah Most High exists, but I'm not completely sure. That is not a Muslim. A Muslim has to believe in these matters without doubt, and then the quality of faith, the level of certitude one has, can increase and can decrease.